thing standing in front of the apocalypse is us.
Hi everyone, Vegas Film Critic here, Jeffrey K. Howard, here to review Pacific Rim Uprising, starring John Boyega, Cailee, Spaeny, Charlie Day, Scott Eastwood, and directed by Stephen S. DeKnight. Yeah, do I sound depressed? Let me set up the movie first. The Jaegers are needed again because the kaiju are back. And we're 10 years later, roughly 10 years later, after the first movie, and John Boyega plays Pentecost, Jake Pentecost, who's the son of Idris Elba's character who sacrificed himself in the first film. And he's a rebel. He was in training to be a Jaeger, but he'd rather be a free spirit, but he's always getting arrested. He's always, doing criminal things, always getting put in jail. So, of course, he's given, when he gets caught, he gets an option, go back into the Jaeger program. And he's begrudgingly goes, doesn't want to, begrudgingly. And there he meets Scott Eastwood, who was his rival, another Jaeger, and so we have this whole thing going back and forth with that. And also, Cailee Spaeny plays a 15-year-old girl who's building her own Jaeger and her own robot, and she gets caught, and she's put an acceleration into the program. So, this movie is like, I was so disappointed in this movie. I'm just going to be honest right up front, because the first one, there's two movies that I've seen maybe 20 or 30 times, and I own, is Constantine with Keanu Reeves and Pacific Rim. And the first Pacific Rim had that Guillermo del Toro touch. It had that feeling unlike any other kind of action fantasy film. There was just something magical about that film. The music, the special effects, everything in that. So I was just waiting for the sequel, just could not wait to see the second one. And it seems like it's gone corporate. I don't know, it's hard to describe. It seems like it's gone... The Universal is doing this franchise. It's like they turn it over to somebody else who kind of mass produced it, and it lost all its charm, lost all its wonder, that love for the genre. And I'm sitting there thinking, wow, this is Power Rangers, and this is Transformers, and this is bloated, and they just didn't concentrate too much on the story, which was confusing, because you have Charlie Day, who's in this subplot, who's back, that just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. There's so much going on in this movie. The first movie really wasn't character-driven, okay? It was mostly about the action, about the Jaegers and the kaiju, and there was very little bit in there. Idris Elba kind of carried that film with that character, but this movie, they did the opposite, okay? So now all of these characters have these backstories. It's complicated, and John Boyega's character is just really repulsive. Okay, half the time he's so self-indulgent. He thinks he's so gorgeous, and he's always commenting how sexy he is, and he's telling everyone in the world, and that goes multiple times, and you're like, what? It's just like he's such an obnoxious character. You don't believe any kind of redemption. You don't believe anything that he's trying to do. You really don't. And when it comes to the special effects, they're spectacular. But you know what? It just becomes tedious. I mean, how many times do I have to see these Jaegers throwing the kaiju into buildings? All these buildings keep coming down, and I keep thinking to myself, wow, they're going to be cleaning up Tokyo for decades. So, yeah, I was just bored on a monumental scale. I mean, it was just like Transformers. Okay, we even have an evil Jaeger. So you have Jaegers fighting each other. I'm like, what? What are we... I just wanted to crawl into my seat and cry. Stephen S. DeKnight, he's from television. He's done Daredevil, and I think he did a couple episodes of Spartacus, over there on Stars. So, I think it was the script that suffered. It really did, And what's his name's back? Gorman is back, too, as the scientist, with the cane and all that. And he tried to help the movie along, but he had that camaraderie he had with Charlie Day doesn't work this time around because there are barely any scenes together with them, So a lot of the movie... You didn't even see the kaiju until the end of the film. Okay, so you're sitting here thinking, wow, this movie's going on almost 2 hours long. You're saying to yourself, wait a minute, there's no monsters in this, And when the monsters do show up, it just kind of changes the whole premise of everything going on. It just, terraforming, and oh my God, it's really disappointing. So Pacific Rim Uprising, I think Universal had some big plans for this. I think with the international box office, I think the movie's going to do really well. I think that they'll probably do even more sequels. They even tease the end of the movie, like a Marvel film. They give you little Easter eggs about what the next movie could be about, So, and it's already on track to make a lot of money, but I just cry for Guillermo. I cry for his direction, his inspiration, and the movie just seemed... And we couldn't even keep, some of the older Jaegers around in terms of... I didn't even know the names of them. They were going by so fast. We didn't have the identity of each of the Jaegers, and that really made me mad because the first Jaegers were they were rock stars, along with all the pilots in them. And in this, we had even a group of trainees that were coming up that they should have concentrated more on because that was more interesting, But Cailee, she was the best thing about the whole movie. This 15-year-old kind of the streets, she's building her own Jaeger. I mean, she was the only interesting thing in the movie. And I just wish the more of the movie concentrated around her. And they could have cut so much fat off this movie. It was just overbearing, bloated Transformers ripoff. It really was. All right, for more reviews and interviews, surf on over to my website, vegasfilmcritic.com. Also, check me out on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe, share, thumbs up. What did you think of Pacific Rim Uprising? You agree with me? Did you like it? Did you hate it? What did you think? Also, check me out on iTunes. Surf on over there and get my podcasts. I'm Jeffrey G. Howard in Las Vegas. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you next time.